Welcome to Pulse Check, where we have quick conversations about how to help people across Alabama live healthier lives. Today's guest is someone doing powerful work right here in our state to help people not just cope, but truly thrive when it comes to mental health. Krishula Edwards is a counselor and mental health consultant who specializes in workplace wellness and mental health, employee support, and building healthier organizations from the inside out. A Montgomery, Alabama native, Krishula brings both heart and expertise to work, combining her background in public administration and clinical mental health counseling to create real, practical solutions for individuals and organizations alike. Today, we're diving into something that affects almost all of us: stress, anxiety, and mental health at work, and what we can do about it. Krishula, I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much, Angie. I appreciate this opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, let's start simple. What are some of the biggest mental health challenges people are facing at work right now?
Okay. Some of the biggest mental health challenges people are facing at work right now are burnout, chronic stress, anxiety, work life imbalance, and emotional exhaustion. Many employees are being asked to do more tasks, they have a higher workload, and they also have fewer resources to get these things done. Constantly connected through technology is also being a barrier with a lot of employees with the burnout, constantly looking at your computer screen all the time. There's also uncertainty related to the economic pressures that we're facing in the workplace, organizational changes due to funding. A lot of employers are having to downsize and also cut funding. That is also and pressure to pressure that also goes into your financial pressure that many employees are dealing with at work. The results is that many people feel overwhelmed, disconnected, and they also are emotionally drained.
That makes a lot of sense. But how can somebody tell the difference between normal stress and, like you mentioned, burnout? What's the difference? How would we know?
So someone can tell the difference between normal stress and something more serious like burnout and anxiety. Some of those signs that can be more serious indicators, feeling exhausted even after they've rested. Some people may say, hey, I've gotten 7, 8 hours of sleep, but I'm still feeling very tired and exhausted. Increased irritability. They're just constantly irritable, like something is wrong with them. They're very grumpy. Loss of motivation. They have no motivation to do things that they used to, that they used, places they used to go, different tasks that they were doing. Feeling overwhelmed most days. They just feel like a blah. They just wake up, don't want to go to work, or they just get to work and they just seem very like, I don't want to be here. Also, difficult concentrating. A lot of times people feel that I need to take some medicine because I'm having a hard time concentrating, but it may not be something that they think of. They may not be looking at what's all on their plate. Now, normal stress, on the other hand, is usually tied to a particular challenge and it needs to be improved once the situation is resolved. And burnout and anxiety are different because they persist over time.
I see what you're saying. So let's say I'm feeling grumpy at work. Let's say that I can't focus. What are two or three practical things I could do during my workday to help reduce my stress in real time?
So, 2 to 3 practical things that someone can do during their workday to reduce stress in real time. One, take intentional micro breaks. A lot of times people do get a 2 15-minute break and they get a 30 minutes to an hour lunch break. But we don't realize that in between that time, we may need to just take a moment to go to the restroom, just to breathe in and breathe out. You may need to walk outside or just break away from your computer screen. I have puzzle games on my phone. So when I feel like, hey, I'm becoming overwhelmed with work sometimes, I just kind of pull away from my desk and turn off my computer and I do a puzzle. And that helps me relax and take a breather or just go outside and take a walk and come back in. Those mini micro breaks, they definitely can make a difference. Practicing controlled breathing. I mentioned taking a deep breath. People do not understand and I don't think they value breathing, how much that can definitely help and relieve you because sometimes you just need to get it out and you just need to breathe in and breathe out. And they have different breathing techniques that you can do. Some people practice counting and some people do other techniques when it comes to deep breathing. And the third one, I say focus on the next task, not the overall workload. A lot of times we get burnout and we have anxiety and we're stressed because we're looking at the mountain of work that's on our desk, our files, our caseload, but we're not taking the opportunity to take it piece by piece. We don't eat our whole plate at one time. We bite one at a time. So we want to look at our caseload like that and work like
That's a really good analogy. Think about it as, if you're eating a meal, you can't tackle that whole thing at once. But a lot of people don't feel comfortable talking about mental health at work. Do you have any advice for navigating that?
what advice I would give them in navigating that is start by understanding your workplace culture and identifying trusted individuals, whether that's a supervisor, HR professional, mentor, or colleague that you can go and talk to and start that conversation. I know for me, I started talking about mental health at work through my supervisor, my second line supervisor. I went to him and I told him, like, hey, these are some things, some tips that I would like to implement at work when it comes to mental health. And he approved it and it was fine. And what I also do, I pass out puzzles, goes, health bingos and puzzles throughout the workday to my coworkers. Like they come to work and they have a puzzle on their desk. And anytime they say anything with mental health, they already know it's me. I'm the mental health queen, like at work. I always talking to them about mental health. But you have to evaluate that workplace culture. And not everyone at work wants to talk about that. And that's fine. You have to respect everyone's boundaries. And you don't have to share every detail of your experience dealing with mental health or ask anyone their details and intimacy dealing with that. You just need to know, hey, I need to talk to them about this. Just giving an inspirational tip and opening that door and giving them that opportunity to come to you or just sharing information and see where it leads them to.
Yeah, just open a door. Well, what does a mentally healthy workplace really look like? And what should employees be looking for and advocating for?
So, what does a mentally healthy workplace actually look like? And employees should be looking for this key indicators: open communication, supportive leadership, that is most important, reasonable workloads. You want to look for a workplace that's not just piling everything on you because they're short staffed. You want to look at that. Flexibility when possible. Life happens to everybody and everyone. So you want to make sure that your workplace is able to be flexible with you when it comes to your family, you as an individual, and anything dealing in your life that you deem is important outside of work. Encouragement of work life balance. A lot of workplaces don't encourage that, but you have to find that workplace that does, or go to your leadership and talk to them about implementing some things to help with work life balance. At my job, I helped started a morale committee. We have a booster club. And the morale committee, we have different events that we put on throughout the year. We have quarterly birthday celebrations, ice cream celebration. We do big celebrations at the end of the year for Christmas. And then throughout the year, we do different activities and things for our coworkers throughout the workplace. And just to have them different things, whether it's a cookout at work, to get people out of the office, out of their desks, because those things are very important. And mentally healthy workplaces where employees feel psychologically safe, and that is very important, respected, supported, and valued. So if your workplace does not have those things, you may want to talk to your leadership about trying to implement them, or results of looking for one that does have those qualities.
Well, thank you for that. You mentioned several ways to be proactive. I love the workplace morale committee. That is fabulous. But on the opposite end of that, there are times when we need to set boundaries. So, how can employees set boundaries at work without feeling like they're risking their job?
Employees can set boundaries at work without feeling like they're risking their job by understanding what boundaries are first. Boundaries are most effective when they are clear, respectful, and focused on performance. Remember, you at work to do a duty and a service, so they have to be focused on the performance. For an example, to maintain a quality to my work, I need to dedicate the time focused on priority projects during the day. So that is my main focus of my job. Good boundaries are not doing less. They're about creating sustainability and ways to do your best, whether you're having a good day or a bad day. Healthy organizations understand that boundaries help prevent burnout and improve long-term productivities and performance for their employees. Your employer have to understand these things too, of where your boundaries are. And maybe sometimes they don't understand what's going on every day with all the employees. but you have to be an advocate for yourself and sometimes for others.
Speaking of others, what are some signs that someone is heading toward burnout? Like, what should we look for?
Some of the warning signs that someone is headed towards burnout before they even realize it, early warning signs can be constant fatigue. You have a coworker that always come to work and it's consistent day after day, constant of I'm just tired. I don't want to be here. They fall asleep at their desk. You want to look at that. Negativity. People don't realize negativity can be an early warning sign of burnout, especially if this person haven't been this negative before. You want to look at that, change in their behavior, increase mistakes. They constantly make mistakes. Now, we're all going to make mistakes, not saying they have to be a perfect person, but if it's something, like I said, consistently, every day, all day, and it just started abruptly or it gradually started happening. Sometimes people burnout is a gradual thing, it's not a sudden thing. You want to look at that. Detached from work. All of a sudden, they're just not attached to their work anymore. They're not liking their job. This used to be a person that was very live, very connected to everyone and to their work, but now they're not. So you want to look at that and reduce productivity. If their productivity level has gone down in their work, that is major because that is cutting into your performance, into your mission of what you're at work to do. And that can also not end well for that employer because that can bring down their productivity level, what they're trying to do. And for the employee, that can hinder them on their performance appraisal.
Makes sense. But what if I am the person who feels burnout? Like, what should happen? What should I do if I feel completely overwhelmed at work right now? What's the first step that I should take?
Okay. For someone who feels completely overwhelmed at work right now, I would say the first step is to pause and identify what is creating the greatest pressure. One thing I tell everyone I'm doing trainings and presentations, I start off with what's on your plate. You have to analyze what are all the things that are on your plate and in your life that is pressuring you. Then what you want to do is you want to prioritize those things of importance because sometimes we are putting things that are less important in front of other things. And that is what's causing us that stress and those pressures because we're trying to do all things all the time. And sometimes it's for everyone else, but not for ourselves. So we have to identify what is going on and where they're coming from before we can even start to break things down to try to help. And then you have to ask yourself, what is one thing causing me the most stress right now? Then focus on manageable actions rather than trying to resolve everything at once. Remember, we bite one at a time. So we have to take our tasks, we have to take things that we're going through one at a time and break it down to see where's this leading us and what's the root cause. Support is often most available than people realize. Sometimes people are afraid to ask for help. So that causes some stress too because they're trying to do everything and be everywhere and not realizing that, hey, you can phone a friend. Or you have the support system that you can go and talk to, or you have a coworker that's right next to your desk that you can say, "Hey, do you mind helping me with this, explaining this to me," or someone that's on your team, they have finished their workload, bringing them in and asking them for help because you have five things and they have one. But we have to be able to basically open our mouth and not be afraid to do that.
You talk about coworkers, team members, friends, a support system, but what role should employers and leadership at your company play in supporting mental health, and where do they often fall short?
Where employers have a great responsibility to create environments where employees can thrive. And that includes providing mental health resources. A lot of companies have an EAP program that they have counselors, they have other resources that employees can be resourceful for and get those training leaders to recognize stress. So you have sometimes in companies, you have a second line supervisor and then you have a first line supervisor. So those second line supervisors can definitely have those trainings so that because they're working one on one with those employees to know this employee is usually at this level. Now they're at this level. Maybe we need to have a conversation. And it's important also for leadership to understand that it's not your job to get into the weeds of intimacy, what's going on. It's to make sure that you understand what's going on with the employer so that it does not affect your performance and effectiveness of the mission at work. They need to, and they want to encourage work life balance, putting forth those things in the workplace that, hey, get out of here today, take a day off, mental health day, half days, those type of things to make sure they're understanding and meeting the needs of their employees, promoting psychological safety. Now, what does that mean in the workplace? That means that having that confidentiality and that trust with employers and employee that I can come to you as my supervisor and feel comfortable talking to you about not only workplace things, but it may be something outside of workplace that's interfering with work. So I need to be able to come to you and say, hey, I have a sick parent at home and I'm taking care of my parents. And that causes me to be up late, which causes me now to come to work and I'm tired and I'm exhausted and my performance at work is declining. I need some help with that. Is there a way that maybe I can change my hours of work, or I can find a way of working from home some days and working in the office? So finding that work life balance and being able to talk to leadership about that. But that's also goes back to questioning, I think it's number two, finding that workplace that have that flexibility and that culture for that.
So you've mentioned ask for help when you need it, let leadership know what some of your challenges are and how they may be affecting your workplace performance. You talked about when you look at the whole plate, just pick one thing, take a bite. Don't try to take on the entire mountain all at once.
Yes.
You talked about taking mini breaks throughout the workday, a lot of really great things. Are there any other small mindset shifts that can make a big difference in how we handle workplace stress?
One powerful shift is moving from I have to do everything to I need to prioritize what matters most right now. Another is recognizing that productivity is not the same as work. Your value as a person is not determined by your to do list. Focusing on progress rather than perfection can simply reduce stress and increase resilience.
What does resilience actually mean in a real everyday workplace setting?
That will to move forward and go on. Also, resilience for some people can mean that reaching out for help and not feeling ashamed and feeling less of yourself because you are getting help from someone else. A resilient doesn't mean that I have to be superwoman or superman and do everything, all things by myself and not get help. That means that you're not giving up and you're going to push forward regardless and do what's necessary.
What's one thing that people think helps with stress, but it doesn't?
Many people simply push through stress without addressing it, and it's a sign of strength. Hey, I can get through this and I can do this because I'm strong. And people throw out that strong word a lot. You're strong, he's strong. But we have to analyze what does that word mean to each person. In reality, ignoring stress, it often causes to build until it affects performance, relationships, and health. I tell people a lot of time ignoring your stress is like shaking up a carbonated soda. So you have a soda, you shake it up, and when you open it, it explodes because it has basically built up so much that now it's overwhelmed and is agitated, and you can't tell it when to explode or where to explode. It's just wherever it is most triggered and shaken up at. So that is definitely just how humans are. You can't tell your body, hey, explode now or not explode. But what you can do is try to work on those triggers and understand where they're coming from and settle, take you some deep breaths so that you can de-stress yourself before moving forward in life.
Was there anything that you thought I would ask or that you hoped that I would ask, but I didn't ask?
I would say that a lot of people in the workplace sometimes don't understand what they're really getting into when they go into a job. So I would definitely encourage individuals to ask more questions when they are interviewed by our employer, or even when they've been at a job for a while. If the culture changes to them, I would definitely tell them and encourage them to do that. And then also, one more thing is what can each of us do to support the mental health of people around us? No, I work for the military, so we are wingmen. So in the Air Force, you have your wingmen. And that is one thing that is very important to us to check on our wingmen. When you have someone that you haven't seen at work in a while, you're going to check and see first if they're on vacation. But we're going to start calling each other, texting to see what is going on. Hey, are you okay? How can I support you? How can I be a better wingman to you? Do you need any help with anything? We have to start looking at that in our workplace just the same as we do in our friendship outside of work. Because our work family, they are just as close to us as our friends. And some of us, we spend more time at work than we do at home. When you work more than 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, your work family, they are your family. So you want to make sure each other is taken care of. So you do have that person that you can call on to get help when you need it. And they can also call on you when they need help.
Krishula, thank you for being with us today. And thank you so much for taking time to explain to us how we can get our minds right. Is there a website where someone can learn more about your work?
Yes. So my company is called Edwards Essentials LLC, and you can find my website, www.edwardsessentialsllc.com. And again, you can reach me and find my website to find out more work about me and my company is Edwards Essentials LLC, and that's www.edwardsessentialsllc.
That works. And if you're watching this and you want more information about Pulse or you want to view more stories like this one, please go to alabamapulsemagazine.com. If you have any thoughts on who we should talk to next or what topics we should cover, leave a comment. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.